So I'm here with Rosie. She's been one of my helpers while I've been doing this amazing garden room. Now I say amazing because I've really enjoyed it. The bit I didn't enjoy was the time of year. Anyone in building in Britain in the winter knows that it is just a pain. Everything's muddy and wet. But anyway, we're done. The landscaping is now complete. All the exterior and interiors are done. I just wanted to have a little chat with you about the process, taking it from the beginning. So we cleared the site, had a couple of small trees to get out of the way. We went for a screw pile. Yes, Rosie. We went for a screw pile, and then we used a prefabricated, factory produced timber frame which complies with building regulations from an insulation, fireproofing, structural point of view. And this is the end result, and I'm really pleased with it because it beds into its environment. It's within all the permitted development rules that we have to follow. So the ridge is below 4 meters. We're a certain distance from the boundary. So if you're interested in doing a project like this, check out the permitted development rules. Indeed, there's a video on Skill Builder which will tell you the difference between planning and permitted developments. You might find that useful, and there'll be a link in the description to that as well. So on the outside we've used a green oak cladding which is weathering back absolutely beautifully now, and in the previous video you might have seen me talking about how we fix that, and that might be useful to you if you're going to embark on doing it. It's quite heavy to use as well, so it's a two-man job. And just here on the end, all of this material here is from the trees that we removed. It's going to be used in the log burner over the winter. It's here to dry out. This lovely little log store here was just made from the offcuts and the bits and pieces that we had left over, and I really enjoy doing that when you can pick up a load of bits and pieces and just knock something up. And we had enough of the slate. This is Tapco slate. This is an artificial slate. The reason why we've gone for an artificial slate, well, there's a couple of reasons. These are the main ones. They're very light in weight. They look incredible. So they are, I mean, to the untrained eye, they look like slate even from this distance. They're incredibly strong, so if you were to walk on this roof and walk all over it, they're not going to break. They're really simple to fit. You fit them just like a normal slate, so they're all hold. You don't need a clip like some alternative artificial slates. So the only negative is, I would say, is that a real slate is probably the same money, but the weight is a lot more, and this isn't going to crack and fall out, so that's why we've gone for it as well. So weight is always a consideration. It's a timber frame building, it's on the screw piles. I needed to quantify the weight of this building to within a ton or so prior to going about the building. The building inspector wanted to know all about the screw piles, how much load they would take. Just incidentally, to find out how much load they took, we put a screw in the ground initially. We set a rig up which is hydraulic, and it did a pull test. And the test actually had a meter on it showing how many tons of force it was going to take to pull that screw out of the ground. And we conducted that test with a screw which was around about 4 feet or 1.2 meters long. We wound it all the way in, showing about 150 or 6 inches, and then we did the pull-out test. The actual screws we used were actually a little bit longer than that. They were around about 1.5 meters long, which is around about 5 feet. So we knew that the pull test was adequate on the 1.2s, 4 feet, but we went a bit more as well. And the reason the screws are good in clay soil is that they allow for a bit of heave and a bit of movement. And because we've not got, our timber floor structure is suspended, there's a void, that allows a bit of movement in the clay as well. We're on wheeled clay here. Wheeled clay is pretty good. It's not as bad as some of the clays you find around the Thames Basin in London, which are doing this all the time and moving buildings around. We're very lucky that it's a stable clay. We used a deck at the front of this building, and that serves a couple of purposes. Obviously, it gives you somewhere nice to sit when you're not on the grass, so if it's wet and damp. We've created level access here. One of the owners of this property is in a wheelchair, and it just means he's able to go in, use the building, which is for his recuperation and rehabilitation. And so I quite like the fact that it's completely accessible. Now, This serves a couple of purposes, this deck. The building itself has got a void, and that void needs ventilating. This deck, we've actually spaced the deck slightly wider than we would otherwise. We're around about 8 or 9 mil, as opposed to around about 4 to 6 mil. That enables the free flow of air to go in under the building and come back out, because the rest of the building has been clad with a special cement board, and the ground is against the cement board, meaning that it's not getting the ventilation anymore from those sides. We've also used a stainless steel expanded metal lath, which is fixed to the base of the building, and that goes down under the ground. So the hard ground, we've got like a type 1 MOT underneath this, well compacted, holding that down. So that allows the ventilation to go in and not any rodents, foxes, rabbits, squirrels, anything else you might expect in the country here. So this is just a tannalized timber deck. It's very routine, but it's absolutely perfect to go with the oak. It'll all silver down. We're going to actually put some treatment on this, which will enable the rain to just bead off and stop any of that algae that forms. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this series as much as I've enjoyed taking this from bare ground to a finished product. Lock it up. I can't, do you know what, this is what happens when you don't have glasses on. You can't get the key in the lock. There we go. And we'll hand that over. Just out of respect to my client, I'm not going to show you around the inside. It's purely something I believe that people's, unless they choose to show everything off, but my clients aren't like that, so I'm not going to show you the inside at this point. But if you check back through the series, you'll get an idea of exactly what it was like when we did the skirtings, architraves, a little bit of decorating, and also the plastering as well that you may have seen. Also, I would like to thank our series sponsor, Milwaukee. They sent me lots of kit to try here, and it was fabulous to be able to try new tools, existing tools, in the conditions we were working in as well. And I'd like to say that they all performed fantastically with the structural timber, with the oak. It was all battery power, it was all the fuel range, and this is a testimony to the times we're in now, that you can build an entire structure. In this case, it's the equivalent of a timber framed house using just battery tools. And if you're not a subscriber, maybe this is the time to think about subscribing to Skill Builder. We can bring you lots and lots and lots of building stuff. And also check out the description below this video. We'll have some information about links and products, and there's a link there to my little channel on YouTube as well, and also Instagram and Facebook. So make sure you can join us again in the future. I'm Robin Clevitt. You've been watching Skill Builder. See you soon.